What's up? It's Ben from WODprep, and in this video, I'm gonna share my favorite ring muscle up development drill. In fact, this drill is what I spend a majority of my ring muscle up seminars on. Because the drill is so effective, it works for nearly everyone, and it's infinitely scalable, and it's very safe. What more could you ask for? Without further ado, we're gonna get into it, but if you want more ring muscle up training after watching this video, I actually have some free training I would love to send you. So stick around to the end and I will send you a free ring muscle up training guide that's gonna help you in your muscle up development. Again, no strings attached, it's completely free. Stick around to the end and I'll send it your way. So let's talk about low banded ring muscle ups. So low, that means I'm hanging rings low. That means that the rings aren't gonna be higher than maybe my belly button. I'm taking a band and I'm using that as a little bit of a help to get me through the transition, to get me through the pull and the transition and the dip. And obviously the ring muscle ups. This is a great way to practice the transition. It's a great way to develop strength and stability in the movement. And again, it is my favorite drill for teaching ring muscle ups because it's infinitely scalable. So if you're a beginner who's just barely able to start practicing ring muscle ups, this is a great drill for you. If you're someone who's advanced, who maybe can already do a couple, this is a great way to accumulate some volume without actually having to hop on the high rings and get super fatigued and risking falling off the high rings. Because these rings are low, the consequences are much smaller. Let's start with first, you just need rings. I don't care if they're dangling from the ceiling or from a pull-up bar, it doesn't really matter. You just need rings that are about belly button or hip height, somewhere around there. Next, we need a way to band underneath the rings. So you can see here, I have it in a squat rack. I have these 2 J hooks. I'm just gonna take a band. Let's err on the side of a thicker band first, and then we'll show you how to adjust the band tension in a second. But I'm gonna take this band and I put it across the J hooks, make sure it's stable, make sure it can support some weight, and then when it's in the J hooks, I'm then going to sit in it. You'll notice to start, all I'm doing is I'm hanging the band pretty much right at the bottom of the rings. So first, I sit my butt in the band. Okay, so it's literally just below my cheeks. And then from here, I'm getting my preferred grip. You can practice this with a standard grip if you're someone who's gonna be practicing kipping ring muscle ups, but I suggest for most people, especially beginners, we should be practicing this with a false grip. As a quick review, the false grip, what I'm doing is I'm taking my hand. Do you see this crease here when I karate chop? Okay, I have a crease. I'm putting the crease right on the top of the bottom of the ring here. So in the crease, and then I grab the ring. That is a false grip. If your grip slips out, that's not a false grip. We have to make sure that crease stays on the top of the bottom inside of the ring. So here, grip, doing the same thing over here. I have my false grip, and then I'm going to sit down in the band. You'll see that the band's actually like really, really tight and supporting me pretty nicely. From here, all I'm gonna do is practice my ring muscle up transition. So as a quick reminder and review, when I'm doing ring muscle ups, I wanna pull the rings all the way to my sternum, and then from here, I Superman, so just like Superman ripping off his button-up shirt to expose the S in his chest, I'm Supermaning those rings, and then to help finish the transition, all I do is I use my head and I lean forward, or I look down, whatever you need. There's a few different cues that we can use, but I pull to my sternum, Superman, and then I'm looking down at the ground or sending my head through. So here's what it looks like at full speed. Pulling up. Okay, you can see how that's very, very similar to a full high ring muscle up. This is a fantastic drill to practice all the aspects of a strict ring muscle up especially. So I have my false grip. Helps if you have a lot of chalk. Don't have that out here because it would make my studio dirty, but helps if you have a lot of chalk. I sit down in the band in that L-sit position with my feet out in front of me. Still have my false grip. I'm gonna look up slightly. I'm gonna pull the rings to my sternum, okay, right at the nipple level, basically, right to the sternum. And then from there, I send my head through and into the transition. I'm keeping the rings close to my body, and then I lock it out, okay? What's so great here is that as I'm pulling myself up and working my way through the transition, this band is giving me support. This band is helping make it a little bit easier for me to make that transition through the rings. Now, if let's say you have everything that I just set up and you can't do it, like even for me right now, not being warmed up, that was kind of difficult, that was tough. Well, what I can do is I can add tension or I can increase the height of the band. So if I took these J hooks and I knocked them up a couple notches, then when I sit in the band, it's gonna provide a lot more tension and a lot more lift, okay? Or I can simply add another band, stack 2 bands, or use a really thick green band or whatever, use any combination. I can add as many bands as I want and keep it at the same height. And now when I sit in it, you're gonna notice I'm not gonna sink quite as far. I can't even get all the way to the ground. And now that muscle up's a lot easier. I can adjust the height of where I'm putting the band. I can adjust the thickness of the band, or I can add multiple bands. Let's say you have it set up and you're like, Ben, it's way too easy. Well, first things first is I could take this purple band off and just go exclusively with the black band. Okay, that's gonna make this a much harder drill, and I'm gonna be assisted much less by the band, and I'm gonna have to use my strength a lot more. It'll be way, way harder, okay? Or I could have kept the same band on and done what? I can take it and move it a few notches lower. So 1, 2, 3. I can move both sides lower, and now it's gonna have less lift on my body, and thus is going to make it a harder drill. So the moral of the story is that this drill, the low banded ring muscle up, is pretty much infinitely scalable. I can have the J hooks really low with a light band, and it's almost as if there's no assistance at all. I could have the J hooks really high and with a heavy band, and pretty much anyone can do a ring muscle up with that amount of support. Remember, we need to focus on the mechanics of a ring muscle up. We want to have our false grip. We want to pull those rings nice and tight. Once I hit my knuckles to my body, then I allow myself to do that Superman into a transition. The whole time I'm keeping the rings tight. If at any point those rings come away from my body, you'll see how this band is so much stretchier. Whoa, it's so harder. If at any point these rings come too far away from my body, you're gonna notice that I'm unstable and it's gonna be very difficult. It's a great time to learn those lessons when the mistake of being loose is just simply you put your feet on the ground and you can stabilize yourself. This is a great way to practice ring muscle ups, because if you learn not to widen your hands on the high rings, you might actually fall through them and end up in a really nasty CrossFit muscle up fail video, and we don't want that. So I highly recommend try this drill. Start by figuring out what is a band width and height that you can consistently hit these ring muscle ups, these banded ring muscle ups. If you can hit one every single time and it's easy, then it's time to lower the J hooks or lower the tension of the band. If you can't quite manage it, then you need to raise the J hooks and raise the tension of the band. With this drill and with the mechanics that we talked about, I assure you, you will become a more confident and better muscle upper. I love this drill. If your class or gym allows you to set up this drill as a modification for ring muscle ups, I like this so much more than the traditional 3 pull-ups and 3 dips per muscle up substitution that a lot of people do. I think this is a great way to practice the actual mechanics of a ring muscle up while maybe not getting the full RX mark, okay? So let me know in the comments below what you think about this drill. Have you tried it? Do you have any questions? Do you have any modifications? Did it work for you? Please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your feedback. Again, my ring muscle up seminars that I run, at gyms across the country, I will literally spend half or 2/3 of the class practicing this drill, because once we get comfortable here, then we can move to the high rings and the magic happens. I suggest anyone going for their first ring muscle up attempts, grease the groove, get some practice with your transitions, with your false grip, with your timing. Get some practice on the low banded ring muscle ups first, and then hop up on the high rings and see if you can get it done. I hope that you liked this video. Thumbs up if you did, thumbs down if you didn't. Like I mentioned, I have some free ring muscle up training I would love to send you. Just go to the link that's displayed on the screen, or I'll have an actual link you can click in the top comment or the description below. If you haven't yet, be sure to smash the subscribe button so that way you don't miss any more videos that I have coming down the pipeline. And always, if you have any special requests, leave a comment below. Let me know, and I will see you in next week's video. Peace.
my workout's over? You think my workout's over? My workout's not over until I say it.